This is Gerald Duffy, and I'm glad you found this video on YouTube. I've been leading mindfulness sessions now for about 18 years for members of the Krempels Center, a community for the survivors of traumatic brain injury here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in the US. What follows is a live recording of one of our sessions. This type of meditation, or attention training as I prefer to call it, draws heavily on the work of Jon Kabat-Zinn, who in the 1980s developed the mindfulness-based stress relief program for patients with chronic pain. Because it's a live session, you'll hear coughs in the background and people moving around. But instead of being distracted, imagine yourself in a room here with us, practicing together. I wish you well and lots of success with your practice. So, we'll begin this meditation, as usual, by thinking about why we're here, just to give ourselves 45 minutes in a place that we always have with us and that we can tap whenever we need to. So we're practicing mindfulness, which is the simple but sometimes difficult task of noticing how the mind will wander off when we try to pay attention to something, and then just bringing it back very gently to the focus of our attention. And it's that constant bringing back of the wandering mind that develops what I call our mindfulness muscle. And that is a skill that you can bring to everyday life, especially in times of stress and difficulty. So we'll begin just by watching our breath, just starting to see how the breath moves in and out of the body quite naturally at its own pace. And as we do this, you start to notice all the different effects that the breath has on our body as it comes and goes. Maybe you'll notice the shoulders rising and falling a little bit with each breath, or the ribcage expanding and contracting. If you take a couple of deep breaths, you'll notice the effect of the cool air moving into the windpipe, down into the lungs. So just paying attention to all aspects of the breathing. In this meditation, we just pay attention to what's happening in the moment. If at any point the mind wanders off, we just guide it gently back to the focus, which right now is on our breath. If we come across any physical feelings or sensations as we move around the body, we simply take an interest in them. We're curious, examine them, and then just let them be however they are. And this can include areas of discomfort, even pain. In this meditation, we don't try to rid ourselves of anything. We simply accept what we find and take an interest, accepting it and letting it be. So now, imagining each breath flowing into the legs, starting at the hips, moving down, all the way to the tips of the toes. So each breath in fills the legs feel a little lighter, and with each breath out, you can imagine just releasing the legs, letting their weight sink into the chair and the floor, or whatever your feet are resting on. Letting go of any muscles that are still working. Letting the weight of the legs just rest and relax. Eventually, you may even feel your feet just melting into the surface that's supporting them. And now, doing the same thing with the arms. So each breath now is filling both the legs and the arms. The breath flows in from the shoulders all the way down to the fingertips. As you release the breath, allow the arms to feel heavy, the hands can rest on whatever surface they're on. Feel completely supported. And allowing any muscles or muscle groups that are still working, allowing them to just relax. So the breath is now flowing in and out of the arms and legs as we move and include the upper body now from the waist to the neck. Breathing in, expanding the ribcage. Breathing out, let it contract. So we're just allowing the very natural, gentle rhythm of the breath to give us one way to focus on the body. And the other way is simply by seeing in the mind's eye whichever parts of the body we're focusing on. So right now we're breathing into the upper body, the arms and the legs. As you breathe in, these areas feel a little lighter, like they're expanding or floating a little bit. As you breathe out, they simply rest and relax. A nice natural rhythm. As finally we add the neck and the head, allowing the head to feel a little lighter as we breathe in, and just relax into the neck and shoulders as we breathe out. Allowing each breath now to fill the entire body from the top of the head to the tips of the fingers and to the ends of the toes. Whatever is supporting us, the chair, the floor, allowing ourselves really just to sink into that, feel completely supported, so that we can direct our full attention to the body as we prepare to do a body scan. I'll guide the meditation. You simply follow my instructions as best you can. That's all that's required. If you find an area of the body where you want to linger, where perhaps there's some discomfort or some kind of sensation, you can stay there while the rest of us move along, and then just catch up later. So use the meditation to suit your own purposes. And finally, moving to the face, which is the face, the window that we present the world, and allowing the mouth to open just slightly. And when you do that, the jaw muscles will automatically relax. And allowing the face to feel soft. So allowing the eyes to feel soft and relaxed. And then imagine placing 2 fingers on each temple and then just pulling very, very slightly just to smooth out the forehead, so that the forehead itself is open and relaxed. And finally, adding to this a very faint smile. If you were to look at yourself in the mirror, you would see that you were content. So this smile tells you and the rest of the world that you're actually content with where you are right now. Maybe slightly happy about it or amused, but certainly content. And try and maintain this attitude as we move through the meditation. In a moment, I'll ring the gong once. I'd like you to listen to the sound of the gong for as long as you can. And once that sound disappears, we'll begin the body scan. So as the sound of the gong finally fades, we direct our attention down to the toes of both feet, starting with just the big toes. So imagining the big toes in the mind's eye, and imagining the breath flowing down into the toes and then back out again. So using both ways to focus, the mind's eye and the breath, just directing all our attention to the big toes. And if at any time, which is more than likely, the mind wanders, just bring it back very gently and repeat that as often as you need to. And then include the little toes of both feet. Breathing in and out now of the big toes, little toes. Imagining them in the mind's eye. And then attending to each of the toes in between. So that we're now breathing in and out of all 10 toes. Breath is just flowing naturally down through the body into the toes. The toes feel a little lighter as you breathe into them, and they just relax as you breathe out. Now, because we're paying much closer attention to the body than we normally do, it's quite likely that you'll experience very slight sensations, some of them very subtle. And if you do, just notice them, name them silently to yourself, and let them be. It might be something like tingling, warmth, coolness, numbness, even discomfort. And all the time just maintaining that attitude of interest and curiosity in what you find. And moving now to include the soles of both feet. So the balls of the feet, the underside of the heels, and the ridge connecting them. Perhaps experiencing the weight of the legs as they press down through the soles of the feet into the surface that's supporting them. And then including the ridges of the feet, the tops of the feet, along which you would be tying laces if your shoes have them. Again, just using the mind as a kind of flashlight, a way of focusing on these areas of the body as we move between them. And sometimes, of course, there'll be no sensations. There'll just be that area in the mind's eye and moving the breath into that area, and that's fine too. And then finally including the ankles of both feet. So imagine the mind now as one of those very slim flashlights that has a narrow beam, and you can shine it into the ankles. And just seeing if you can look around the ankle joint, very complex joints, being curious. So you're now breathing in and out of both feet entirely. It feels like the feet are expanding a little as you breathe in, and contracting and relaxing as you breathe out. Again, this is the natural rhythm of the breath dictating the flow. Moving upwards now to the lower legs, and we'll start at the bottom of the shin bones, moving inch by inch up the shin bones until we reach just below the knees, and pausing there for just a moment. Again, we know that the shins are sensitive. We certainly know that when we bang them on something. And just noticing if there are any sensations along the shins. As we now move back to the underside of the knees, to the top of the calf muscles, and then slowly moving down through the calf muscles until we get back to just below the ankles and pausing there. You can imagine the calf muscles as kind of balloons that you can expand as you breathe in. So they expand with each in-breath and then contract with each out-breath, letting them relax as you breathe out. And then taking just a moment or two now to explore the entire lower legs, moving the mind through the bones, muscles, the sinews, tendons, skin, and the nerves. And whenever the mind wanders, bring it gently back. And now moving to the knees, imagining each knee as a small round balloon that you can inflate with breath. And as you breathe out, it deflates or contracts. Using the mind as a flashlight again with a narrow beam, just searching the knee joints, very complicated joints, exploring them for any kind of feeling or sensation. Taking a nice deep breath now, letting the knees expand as you breathe in, and then just contract and be as you breathe out. As we move up now to the upper legs. And we'll start just below or just above the knees, the bottom of the upper thighs. So where the hands or the arms are resting on your knees, starting there, and moving slowly along the top of the thighs, inch by inch, until you reach the two hip bones, and stopping there. If your hands and arms are resting on your legs, just notice the sensation of pressure and weight where they rest against the thighs. If you allow the arms to relax, you may even feel like they're sinking into the surface that's supporting them, just melting into the thighs. And then moving down to the two sit bones, the two pointed bones in the pelvis that support us when we're sitting. We notice them especially when we're sitting on hard surfaces. And then moving along the underside of the thighs, inch by inch, moving along until we reach the point where we're at the edge of the seat or chair, and then continuing to the underside of the knees. Again, with each out-breath, allowing the thighs to sink into the chair. As we take just a couple of moments to breathe in and out of the entire upper legs, exploring the bones, the muscles, tendons, nerves. So we're now breathing in and out of the entire legs, from the hips down to the tips of the toes. So each breath is filling the upper legs, the lower legs, and the feet. The legs feel a little lighter as you breathe into them. And as you breathe out, they just relax and settle. And we'll go back very quickly and briefly to the face and just check that our mouth is still slightly open, that we are wearing a very slight smile, a look of contentment, that our cheeks are relaxed, our jaw is relaxed, that the eyes are soft, and again that the temples and the forehead are smooth. As we move back now to the body, and we'll start at the tip of the spine, the tailbone, and work our way slowly up the tailbone, one vertebrae at a time, until we reach the middle point of the spine, just below the shoulder blades, and pause there. Again, just remaining aware in case there are any feelings or sensations. For example, you may notice each time you breathe in that the pressure against the back of the chair between your lower back and the chair will increase a little. And anything else that you notice. Paying attention to the muscles of the lower back, this broad band of muscles. Sometimes we can develop stiffness in this area, so noticing if that's true for you today. And then shifting your attention around to the front, to the belly area. Starting by focusing just on the navel, belly button. Imagine the breath flowing in and out of the navel. Inflating the belly area as you breathe in, and letting it relax and contract as you breathe out. And then focusing just on the belly button itself. And noticing if it's moving up or down, in and out, or a combination of both. And moving inward a little to the belly area itself, the digestive system, the stomach, the intestines. We've probably recently just eaten lunch, so there may be some sensations from the digestive system still working to digest the food that you recently ate. And moving to the back again, starting middle of the spine where we left off, just below the shoulder blades, and moving slowly 1 inch at a time up the spine until we reach the base of the neck, and pausing there. And now paying attention to the shoulder blades themselves, just the shoulder blades. And notice how they're moving as you breathe in and out, picturing them in the mind's eye. And then moving upwards to the shoulders and the collarbones. Again, you may notice that the shoulders and collarbones rise and fall a little bit with each breath. Sometimes just a little bit, sometimes substantially. depending on how deeply we're breathing. And remember, anytime the mind wanders, bring it back very gently. And do that as often as you need to. Remember to bring the attitude of curiosity and interest as we move around the body. And now including the broad band of muscles across the upper back from shoulder to shoulder and all the way down to the lower back. Muscles that do an awful lot of work for us in terms of moving our arms, lifting, supporting our neck and head. Also muscles that can store tension during the day and become tense, a little tight. So just exploring them and seeing if any of that's true for you. And if it is, just breathing into this area. Letting whatever sensation you find just be. We're not trying to change anything. And now moving around to the front of the upper body. First of all, watching the breastbone rise and fall as you breathe in and out. Reflecting the rhythm of the breath. Observing the upper rib cage expand and contract as you breathe in and out. And within the rib cage, imagining the lungs as they fill with air as you breathe in, and how they contract as you breathe out. And then finally locating the heart muscle. Really focusing on the upper left-hand side of the chest cavity, where the heart muscle resides, and seeing if you can experience the heartbeat itself. The heart, of course, has enormous symbolic value to us. We connect it with the seat of love and compassion. So when we focus on the heart, we can imagine that compassion, that love for ourselves and other people and the world at large, we can imagine that flowing out as we breathe out. And taking a nice couple of extra deep breaths now, letting those breaths fill the upper body from the waist to the neck. The upper body expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And relaxes, you just let it be. Returning just briefly to the face, checking the forehead and temples to make sure they're still smooth, making sure the eyes are still soft, the cheeks are relaxed, the mouth is still slightly open, the jaw is relaxed, and you're still wearing this very slight smile. As we move now to the arms, starting at the very tips of all 10 fingers and thumbs. Sensitive areas that have lots of nerve endings that inform our sense of touch, allowing each breath to flow down through the arms into the fingertips and then back again. And then moving up through the nails and the first set of finger joints, and then proceeding from the first set of finger joints to the knuckles, so that you're now breathing in and out of all 10 fingers and thumbs. They're expanding as you breathe in, contracting as you breathe out. You're aware of any physical feelings or sensations. If so, you can observe them, name them silently to yourself, and then just let them be. So now including the knuckles and the palms of the hands. So noticing where the palms of the hands are resting on the chair or your legs, and seeing if you have any sensations of any kind. Could be a sensation of temperature or weight. And if not, just keep your focus there, allowing the hands to relax with each out-breath. And then moving to the backs of the hands, the tops of the hands. And first of all, just noticing if there's any difference in experience in temperature between the backs of the hands and the palms of the hands. The backs of the hands are exposed to the air, and we have a heating and cooling system that is circulating air in the room. The backs of the hands are sensitive to air movement, so just noticing if you have any sensation of the air as it moves across the backs of the hands. Again, these are very subtle sensations. We don't expect to experience them every time. And now including the wrists. Again, these are complicated joints, so you can imagine the mind as a flashlight with a narrow beam, shining them into the wrists, exploring the joints for any feelings or sensations. With each out breath, allowing the wrists and the hands to sink into whatever surface is supporting them. And now moving along the forearms. So moving from the wrists 1 inch at a time, along the forearms and pausing at the elbows. And again, if your forearms are resting on your legs or the chair, just noticing the points of contact and any sensations that might be there. And then moving from the elbows to the shoulders, including now the bicep muscles and the triceps at the back. Imagining these muscles and the forearms expanding as you breathe in, contracting as you breathe out, allowing the arms to settle into whatever surface is supporting them. You can imagine the elbow just dropping, the shoulders relaxing. So now we're breathing in and out of both arms entirely. Take a couple of deep breaths, imagining those breaths filling the arms and the hands and fingers. And as you breathe out, they contract and relax. so that we are now breathing into the entire body below the neck, the arms, the upper body, and the legs. Each breath in brings lightness. Each breath out allows relaxation and awareness. So now we'll move to the final part of this meditation, to the neck and the head. And first of all, I'd like you to swallow. Just use your swallowing muscles, swallow a couple of times, and just notice the muscles in the front of the throat. And then I'd like you to start breathing in and out through the mouth. We'll do this for a few minutes, noticing the sensation of air as it moves in through the mouth, down the windpipe. You can take a couple of extra deep breaths to really experience this sensation. And then paying attention to the muscles at the back of the neck. These also are muscles where we can store tension and stress during the day. You can move your head around just a little bit, just to see if there's any tension, tightness there for you. And if so, just breathing in and out of it. Again, we're not trying to get rid of anything. We're simply paying attention with an attitude of interest, curiosity. Now moving up to the jaw, continuing to breathe in and out through the mouth. The mouth is still slightly open. The jaw muscles are relaxed. And we take a couple more exaggerated in-breaths through the mouth and notice the sensation on the lips as we do that. Again, another couple of exaggerated breaths, and notice the sensation on the teeth and gums as the cool air passes across them. A couple more deep breaths, notice the sensation on the tongue and the roof of the mouth. So now we can allow those breaths to relax a little bit, and we switch them now to breathing in and out through the nose. So take a couple of deep breaths in through the nostrils. Again, noticing the change. The air is now moving up through the nasal passages and down through the windpipe. Notice the sensation of that cool air as it moves into the respiratory system. Paying attention now to the point where the air enters the nose, around the rims of the nostrils, or the tip of the nose, or the upper lip. Taking a couple of deep breaths and just seeing where that sensation is. And now wiggling the nose a little bit, feeling the muscles around the nose. Focusing on the area between the eyes, the bridge of the nose. Imagine 2 fingers on each eyebrow, just gently pulling to make this area nice and smooth. The eyes are soft, of course. As we include the cheeks and the cheek muscles. If you still have that slight smile on your face, you may just feel just a little group of muscles working to maintain that smile, just to the side and below the eyes, the outside of the eyes. Moving to the eyes themselves, allowing yourself to breathe in and out through the eyes. Gently letting the in-breath flow in through the eyes, the eye sockets, and then flow out again as you breathe out. The eyelids feel soft, the eyebrows are soft, all the muscles around the eyes are relaxed. As we move up to the forehead, again imagining 2 fingers on each temple, just very gently tugging. Make the forehead smooth. The temples are an area where we also can store stress sometimes. Just noticing if that's true for you at all today. Moving to the ears, and imagining each breath is flowing around the structure of the ears into the eardrums. Breathing in, and then flowing out as you exhale. And then finally moving to the scalp, starting at the top of the forehead, the edge of the scalp where it meets the forehead, and then moving slowly across the top of the head to the back, and then down the back to the neck, and then down the sides to just above the ears, so that each breath now is washing over the entire scalp area. You explore the scalp area with your mind's attention. The scalp area is also a very sensitive area, lots of nerve endings. So just noticing if there's any sensations in this part of your body today. So now we're breathing in and out of the entire body. We've made a complete tour from the tips of the toes to the top of the head. So just take a few moments, breathe in, let that breath flow into all parts of the body. Let it expand as you breathe in, contract as you breathe out. All this happening with the natural movement of the breath, which comes and goes like the waves of the beach. Really taking in this experience of the entire body and your awareness of it. This can be something that you can bring into the rest of your day. And remember that this type of meditation is available to you at any time, even a much shorter version of it, where you bring awareness to your entire body, noticing what's happening in the mind, and moving yourself into a state of acceptance and complete awareness. And this is what we call mindfulness. I'd like you to start wiggling your fingers and toes a little bit now, just to introduce some movement to the body as we prepare to end the session. In a moment, I'll ring the gong for a final time. And when you're ready, there's no hurry. Take as much time as you need. When you're ready, just slowly open your eyes as we bring the session to a close.